Focus, focus. I just got back from work. Well, actually not. It's kind of like 9:30 right now. I got off like at 5:30. It's 10:30 already. Today I was able to come across this case which I think is pretty interesting as an intern to experience, but it's also quite sad at the same time. We received this red-tailed hawk a few days ago, and he was really skinny, and we took an x-ray of him, and there were no bone fractures or any obvious skeletal damage. He couldn't really stand on his own. When we put him back in the kennel, he just like collapsed onto the floor. And we tried to feed him, and he did eat, which was a pretty good sign. But this morning he died. He passed away, and it was pretty strange because he had no signs of like a severe impact like most of the animals that came into our clinic. Today we did a necropsy. We dissect his carcass to see all the internal organs, trying to see like why he died. And we found out that he was infected with this fungus called Aspergillosis. To my knowledge, this fungus is pretty much everywhere in the air, and it only infects individuals who have very weak immune system. And Aspergillosis is able to infect multiple animals, including human, which is kind of scary thinking about it. We made like a dissection under the rib cage, and we kind of like flipped it open, and we found a lot of lesions. The fungus even spread to some of the organs in the abdominal cavity. I just finished his white blood cell count, and it's really high. Usually in birds it's just like below 20,000, but this one's like 43,400. And in the back is kind of like the percentage of different white blood cells, and there's like a really high amount of monocytes. You can kind of see the monocytes under the microscope. So they're kind of like the big cells that have the bean-shaped nucleus, and this high percentage of monocytes indicates that this bird's infection is chronic, which means he has been like this for quite a long time. It was quite an experience, and I would say I enjoy it as an intern, but I also feel really sad for that bird. But yeah, anyway, back to the main topic. So today I want to talk about my experience as an international student in the United States. I wouldn't call it like a culture shock because I wasn't really shocked by that, even though I felt like differences, and I do admit that they have impacted me and my worldview, or how I see others, or how I see myself in this community. And there are bazillions of things that are totally different from home, but for the sake of time I'm only mentioning a few of them. And to make this video more organized, which I'm not, I would try to put these into two different categories. The first thing is kind of like the personal experience, like the personal challenges that each international student has to face or has to experience. And the second one is kind of like the cultural differences that I noticed between the two societies. So the first thing is the struggle with language, which is pretty obvious. For this one, I will try to keep it short because it's pretty obvious and everyone knows about this already. A lot of international students find it really hard to communicate in English because sometimes they have to like translate a question in English to their native language and try to think of an answer in their own language and then try to translate it back to English and speak it out. So if you ever ask an international student a question and they're just like frozen there for 2 minutes, it's probably because there are a lot of things going on in their head, so don't judge them because it's a really hard thing to do. This depends on like the individuals. Some people do that, some people just don't, and they can just speak naturally. Me personally don't have that problem, but the good thing is after like an amount of time that they kind of like force themselves to communicate in English, their neural system in their brain, I don't know, I'm not a neurology major, but it kind of like forms this new reflex or like new neural connection that it kind of like skips the native language part and they can just respond in English right away. Another thing is the lack of vocabulary. I'm terrible at this. I'm telling you, I'm really terrible at this. I have like really limited amount of vocabulary, probably because I don't read a lot. I have terrible memory when it comes to like numbers and letters and words, and I didn't study for SAT that much because my parents also wanted me to pass the finals in medical school at the time. So it's pretty challenging every time I want to like sit down and talk with I don't know, my professors or my friends about like a serious problem, and I really need to use like these academic words, and the conversation just like got interrupted because I can't really think of the perfect word to express my idea. It's very hard for me whenever I want to like make an argument or like just hold a serious intellectual conversation with someone else. Confidence. This is very interesting. The stereotypical international student is someone who's very shy and timid and does not talk at all. That is not true. I've met a lot of people, including international students, who are very, very confident, like overconfident. They're like fucking arrogant people. But I just happen to be one of the shy kids. I don't know. A lot of my friends don't think that I'm shy, but I definitely kind of feel the lack of confidence in me. I'm not sure why. It could be like a cultural thing. It could be because I'm not confident with my English, or I'm not confident with my appearance. It could be all the above. But whenever I talk to someone else, I always have this feeling that I am inferior to other people, and I feel that I don't have the right to like initiate a conversation or something like that. I know that it's not true, but I just feel like it. I can't really help feeling like it. So I kind of like sit there and wait for people to initiate the conversation, and it never really happened. That's probably why I'm still single. And I'm trying to like think of the reason why, and I think that because in Asia we were kind of like raised to respect other people, and this idea kind of like imprinted in our mind. It's affected our ideology, or like how we see ourselves in the community. Did I say we? Because it's probably just me. And this kind of like makes me have this tendency to avoid other people, which is not good. And trust me, I'm trying to fix this, because a lot of time, because of my lack of confidence, I tend to avoid people, and they kind of think that I'm arrogant, and it makes it really hard to make friends with others. As a person in general, it is really, really important to have friends around you, have someone who supports you, because sometimes when you hit rock bottom and you don't really have any supports around you, you can possibly end up with really, really messed up decisions. Yeah. The differences between the two societies, dare to dream and pursue that dream. I realized that people who are born and raised in the Western culture, they tend to have like really big goals, and they always have this kind of like persistence to pursue that dream. I am not. I am guilty as charged when it comes to this. I would say I am that kind of person who always has this amazing, crazy, creative ideas and plans in my mind. Like I always have like these projects, but I never really get to finish them. In Asia, we were raised to be practical. We were taught to take into account our abilities when we decide something. Most of the time, people tend to underestimate their abilities. That's why we don't dare to dream as big. We're afraid of failures. For me personally, the reason why I lack the persistence is because I think I have problem with concentration. I'm that kind of person who works the best when I'm in that mindset. I have to like concentrate 100% on it, and I have to feel like if the project takes too long, my mind started to wander off and lost the concentration and lost the mindset that gets me excited to work on it. I have had a lot of half-done projects. Some of my half-done projects are like writing a song, writing an a cappella arrangement, making a music video. There's one project that I'm planning right now. This is like a huge project that is very, very meaningful to me. Personally, I can't really say a lot about this project because I can't really disclose it, but this is gonna be like a really great experience for me. Probably have heard of like these methods to help you meet your goal. One of them is kind of like make an announcement to other people, and by saying that announcement to other people, you have this pressure from other people because you kind of like already promised them. It makes you have the motivation to do it. This project that I'm talking about, let's just call it, I don't know, Project X or something like that, because X stands for mystery, extreme, and X-ray. I promise, oof, that's a strong word. I promise to release this project by the end of August. We'll see if I be able to finish in time. Life interests and goals. This is interesting. When I got to the States, I was really amazed of how the students here, they decide their majors. For those of you who don't know, in Vietnam, to get into college, you have to like take this very stressful exam. Basically, is I would say is much more difficult than SAT. Imagine you have 100 chemistry problems, and 80% of them are like the problems that are very hard, that require like at least 4 calculations or something like that, and you have 60 minutes to finish it. So basically you have like less than 1 minute for each problem. And in Vietnam, like each college and university, they has their own like group of majors. So for example, the university that I attended is called Philippine University of Medicine and Pharmacy, which means it only includes like the majors that are related to medicine and pharmacy. We had pharmacy, obviously. General practitioner was what I was doing. It was a very overrated major, I would say. A lot of people want to get into it because once you're a general practitioner, you can continue your education afterwards and become like a specialist. Traditional medicine, preventative medicine, I think. But yeah, so basically you have to apply for that major before you take exams. Basically, you can't really change your major. Technically, you can change your major, but you have to wait for another year to retake that stressful exam. The parents, they want their kids to have like the best major. Nobody wants to change the major, so the parents, they want their kids to have like the best major. So because of that, not so many people get to study what they really passionate about. So when I came to America, I was really surprised to see like departments like philosophy or political science. They have like so many students. Liberality. This is probably like the best thing I've experienced in the United States. I know that I'm just in Ohio is nothing compared to like other liberal states. The College of Worcester is a liberal arts college, and I would say it is not the perfect community, but it's the best I have experienced so far in terms of diversity and equality. I love how most of the students of the College of Worcester are really open to all sexuality or gender identities or ethical groups or religions, etc. And still, there are a lot of people still complaining about the College of Worcester community. Is the best I have so far, guys. So I'm really grateful to be on this campus. I hope that in the future I will be able to experience other communities like this or even better than this. After this internship, I'm going to California and I'm really excited for it. But yeah, in general, people are just so accepting. I literally like smile every time I see like a student with a hijab or like a cross-dresser student just walking to class and just feel free to be whoever they are. It's really heartwarming to me. And the very last bullet point, I want to talk about how people express their feelings. So obviously in the United States, people are way much more expressive in terms of, you know, talking about their feelings, talking about their emotions. And this is actually what I'm kind of struggling about. A few days ago, me and my friends, we were talking about how I am not comfortable with like sharing my feelings or talk about my feelings and stuff like that. It's just how I was raised, I guess. In the culture I was raised in, they kind of like have this idea that showing your emotion or feelings is weak, or it will not really change anything and it will just make people around you more worried. So it's kind of like an act of selfishness. To be honest, I don't believe so at all, but it just has been so imprinted in me that I find it very hard to sit down and talk to someone about my feelings. If you are being expressive about your feelings in where I'm from, you know, like talk about like depressions or anxiety or all these problems, there's a high chance that people will judge you and think that you are an attention seeker. So ever since I was a kid, I've been pretty much used to dealing with all these problems all by myself and, you know, kind of like brush it under the carpet. I know that this is not right. I really want to kind of like open myself to other more and kind of like break down this wall between me and other people. That is what Project X is about. Sneak peek. But yeah, to be honest, at this moment I'm still not used to talk about my feelings. But on the other hand, I really enjoy listening to others and being supportive, being there for someone else. So if you happen to be one of my friends and you're feeling really down, you have all these problems, and you need someone to talk to, feel free to come to me. I'll try my best to help you out. There have been some incidents in the past in my life that made me realize that it is really crucial to listen to others when they're down, when they hit rock bottom, or else you probably regret it. Yeah, you probably regret not listening to them. You probably regret ignoring them. But yeah, that's pretty much like the experiences I've had as an international student in the United States. Sorry, since I got a little bit carried away and talking about other stuff that is pretty off topic, I would say. I'm pretty sure there are also a lot of other things that I missed in this video. If you're an international student, tell me if you have these same problems, and just tell me what other problems that I missed in this video. Or if you have any question about being an international student in the United States, just feel free to leave a question in the comment section below. Thank you for listening to me talking about all this shit. I hope you all have a good weekend.